Well, here we are again, boys and girls, cowering in the basement, trying to keep our arses as far away from the rest of humanity as possible. Anyway, it's shaping up to be rodent week here on the channel, so let's dig right in. Rodent the first is squirrel. Squirrel, squirrel. Okay, fine, I will admit it. There was a dark time in my life when I thought squirrels were cute. And yes, it is true, I did have a pet squirrel, which I named Melvin, which later turned out to be a girl. So what you're looking at here is a low-density polyethylene tote. Basically a glorified plastic bag that I bought for $4 and then chopped the top off of it. And inside we have a extruded polystyrene foam board. Handy stuff. Should always keep this stuff around. Anyway, I just put that in there to keep the shape, because it's kind of a floppy thing. So make it a little more rigid. This is version number 843 of my squirrel-proof bird feeder. But hey, I got a good feeling about this one. Wink, wink. The target area for this feeder is just outside of this large kitchen window, which makes a beauty spot for bird watching for obvious reasons. And the close proximity to the deck makes it easy to refill. Once you put out your bird feeder, keeping the little rodents out of it becomes next to impossible. So the best thing you can do is to try and control the number of ways they can gain access to the feeder. And what I found seems to work fairly well is to just put it on a long pole, like so. Now, for whatever reason, they're not really comfortable jumping from the deck to where the feeder will hang. It seems it's probably close enough, but I think because it's swinging so much, they don't really like the idea. So that means that the only way for them to get to the feeder is by crawling up the pole. I keep my bird feed in this galvanized garbage pail here. And when I first got it, it took the squirrels about, I don't know, a couple weeks. But they managed to figure out how to get into it. And what they would do is they would get up onto the lid, knock this down, and then there was a like a brick or something down here, and they could stand up on the brick and push this off, and in they get. So yeah, don't underestimate how clever these little fuckers are. So now I just keep it away from anything so that they can't muck around with it. This is my bird feed party platter. And I'm kind of partial to these trough feeders because you can really actually see the birds eating. And it's kind of fun when you've got like 4 or 5 different species all hanging out together, chowing down. And of course, once the squirrels get in it, it's infuriating to see the little fat fuckers sitting in the tray, gorging themselves on seeds. It's maddening. So there's a downside to these as well. But if you can make this work, then you've got something. So let me show you how we get this hooked up to the pole. Okay, so we've got a piece of copper pipe here, and one of these, oh god, no idea what they're called. They're the thing that go into the electrical junction box when you're doing electrical conduit. They're super cheap, I seem to recall. Anyway, that goes in there, and that goes there, and that just gets cinched down. Piece of copper pipe goes in here like so, and then these come with a handy tightening down screw. And I made a little shim here because it's not quite the right size, but in order to keep it kind of straight up and down, oh, shim is right. I want to get it right on the opposite side there. Yeah, like so. And then when we tighten it down, it kind of stays in the middle. And there you have it, hanging bird feeder. So now to get it onto the hangy bit. On the end of that brass pole, I drilled a hole through it, and then I've got this 1/16 wire and a little ferrule on the end there, crushed it on. I'm going to do the same to the other side here. Now, I know there's a tool for this, but this seems to work just as well. I think that does it. Oh yeah. I've also cut a little slot in this piece of aluminium, and it happens to fit through there. I think you know where we're going with this, don't you? So we'll put the thing through the copper pipe, comes out the other end, slide it into there, and I believe, yep, yeah, there you go. Who's up for a little squirrel fishing? In one of the earlier iterations of this feeder, I had just this wire going straight down to the feeder here, and I thought for sure there's no way they'd be able to just climb down that thin of a wire, a 16th of an inch or whatever the hell that is. But sure enough, no problem, they can do it. Not complicated, just run up the pole. At this point, it looks like we have access limited to just one route, and that's up the pole. But we won't know that for sure until we put some evolutionary pressure on this thing. Now, maybe it's just me, but my first thought is to grease the pole. Don't judge. So let's get the lube out. Generic petroleum jelly should do the trick. So I'm just going to do the top 2/3, just to give them a false sense of security. When they get on the pole, they'll think everything's hunky-dory. And let's see how they like that. Yuck. It must have been too late in the day for any squirrely action, because my only customers were a handful of sparrows. And of course the next day it was raining, so I had to cobble together a lid to keep the seeds dry. A little rain does not deter the squirrels. Here's the first attempt at navigating the greased pole. As you can see, it kind of works, but after a few more attempts, the grease is either becoming less effective or they just don't give a shit anymore. What actually seems to be bothering them now is the floppy lid. Now, I may be anthropomorphizing a bit here, but it sure seems to me like that little fucker is sitting there thinking about how to solve this problem without making a bunch of foolish attempts at it. I could be wrong. You can see I've stabilized the lid a little bit there, and we've got a customer waiting at the door. Let's see how he makes out. He cautiously approaches the lid, making a few last-minute calculations, and oh my god, he's jumped straight into the party tray. Grabs a peanut and makes a break for it. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It would appear he did not consider his egress before making such a daring leap. Now, you'd think that situation would be distressing enough that you'd find a way out of the tray, but apparently not. After a few more seconds of trying, you must have figured the tray was probably the best place you could spend the rest of your life anyway. After a while, I decided to move the process along a bit.
Oh! Oh! What to do? What to do? Oh no!
It obviously learned a few things from that debacle, because this is what the next attempt looked like. If we're going to match wits with the squirrel, we're obviously going to have to do better than this. The greased pole defense only lasts for maybe 24 hours, less in the summer. There's a life lesson for you, eh? Greasing up your pole every day is not the answer to everything. Any sort of physical barrier along here also is easily defeatable. So I think we're going to have to cede control of the pole to the squirrel and move our defenses further up the line. And this is where I'm getting into new territory, so let's go have a look at what I got planned for this thing. So now I'm thinking if I can't keep him off the pole, maybe I need to keep him out of the feeder. And that's where this comes in. Is that too dramatic? Maybe. Don't want to scare the kids. So this obscene little hole in the tote here was cut to fit this piece of CPVC, which also happens to slide nicely over the copper pipe. The PVC is a bit wobbly in that hole, so I printed off this little doodad to kind of stabilize it. There's the final product there, and it's just going to slot right into there. I'll probably glue it onto there just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Now what we need to do is make sure that it covers the party tray. And I actually want it to come down a little bit further than the bottom of the tray. So I'll just maybe lift the tray up a bit. Slide the whole mess down. Like so. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Ridiculously long glue stick. I don't know where I got that from. Oh yeah. So on the off chance that this actually works, or the even more remote possibility that you actually want to do this for yourself, you don't need a 3D printer. You can just make that out of wood. It's not very complicated. There's what it looks like when it's fully ensconced. That looks pretty good to me. And no, I'm sure you're asking yourself, yeah, sure, dumbass, that's going to keep the squirrels out, but hey, it's going to keep the birds out too, right? Well, hang tight. I got a plan for that. I also 3D printed this little ring here, which is going to attach right on top of the tube. I'm just going to glue it on there. Could you make this out of wood? Abso-fucking-lutely. Doesn't even need to be round. Maybe a little weed whacker line might be just what we need for this. And in like so. And what I'm going to do here is just melt the end a bit and give it a little smush. Well, too early. Fucking idiot. Try that again. Here's a tip for you. Wait for it to cool. All right, let's bring it over to the test bench and hook it up. And this is where the fun begins, really. So here's where we are so far. Hanging feeder party platter with a slide-on lid and a tiny, tiny little handle. As you can see, I had a brief moment of organizational prowess and then kind of gave up on that, I guess. So I'm pretty sure it's in the top drawer here. Bearings, nails. There we go. Pulleys. For this, we're going to need two pulleys, one up here and then another one further down the line. And it's going to provide the liftage on the lid. And I just realized I'm probably going to need to put some sort of pin up here to keep that from just coming right off the rails. But, yeah, that's how it's going to work. So the trick is going to be to figure out how to attach these to here. And I don't want to drill holes in my beautiful brass pole here any more than I have to. So we'll figure out some sort of attachment mechanism. Let's take another dip into the electrical conduit bucket. That's not too bad. I wonder if that actually fits around that. And, whoa. A little big. Kind of slippery. Oh, what's this? What the hell is that doing in there? That's why I can never find anything. This, on the other hand, this I think is the right size at least. Yeah, not bad if we could squeeze it on there somehow. What about two together? If we shaped them up a little bit, that might do it. First of all, we need to nip the ends off, I do believe. Actually, we can probably do two at a time. Something like this, eh? Ho, ho, ho. It's like it was made for the job. There we go. Yeah. Beauty. I think we're in. Now, if you're half the squirrel I think you are, you probably know where we're going with this plan here. So this is our lifter. It's going to be connected to the first pulley, which will come down to the second pulley, and there's going to be a counterweight off of here that should keep the thing up. All right, I've got a nice long piece of braided wire here. We're gonna make a loop through here. I think this is the best way to connect it. I think. How's that doing? Oh, it seems good. Oh, look at that action. Oh, it's beautiful. Sound Monkey stole my audio here, but I'm noticing that the wire that goes from the pole down to the party platter is kind of short. So we're going to fix that. Well, I'm out of ferrules. Those are those little aluminum things that you crush onto the ends here. And this wire is a little bit thicker than the one I had before. So I guess the party's over, boys and girls. Or is it? Oh, there we go. There it is, smashy smashy. And there you go. Pennies to the glass. Right, let's give it another try here. Now the whippersnipper line is getting caught up on the top of the copper pipe, so I'm going to have to shorten that. You can see that I've shortened this up quite a bit, so hopefully that'll help. So I think the easiest thing to do here is just to drill a hole through there, put a nail or something, so that when this comes up, it'll hit the nail and prevent that from hooking onto the edge like that. There we go. So now what we need here is a counterbalance on this side that will exactly match the weight of that lid to keep it up. Well, maybe not exactly match it, because we want it a little bit heavier, so it'll pull it up. And then any additional weight on the lid should push it down. In theory. This is my collection of heavy balls and pieces of seashell. Don't ask. We'll take some of these and use them as a counterweight. Check out this clever bit of nonsense. Jar lid, hole. Thread this through here. So. Heavy balls. And now all we have to do is make a loop. Like so. And there we go there. Oh, fuck. Maybe not so clever. Alright, cleanup time. Well, that's disturbing. It doesn't really seem like quite enough glass, but I guess my feet will find it later. Alright, where was I? Yeah, I'm gonna try it again. Yep, because I'm stupid. Okay, so I'll properly put the lid on. And there you go. Perfect hanging weight. And to attach it to the other side, a carabiner. There we go. Oh, nervous. I have placed enough weight in my dangling ball sack there to make sure that this would come up, but it doesn't work. And the problem here is this with the whippersnipper line here is got a lot of tension on it and is pushing the copper bar against the far side of the pipe, which is causing a lot of friction. So you can see it's slowly, if you give it a little, not really. Too much friction, that's my problem. So I need to get this away from the copper line. We're going to put another hole in here and drag that down a bit so it doesn't impact the bar. Alright, so you see what I've done there. Just cable tied it away from the bar. And now if we push this down, oh come on, please work. It goes up! No problem. Alright, actually it takes it seems to take a fair bit to push this down. I may have too much weight in there. We're going to try and find the perfect balance. So after dicking around with different size weights in the dangly bit here, I think I have it balanced so that it takes little pressure to push this down. But is it a squirrel's weight of pressure? I guess we're going to find that out. Lid goes down. Lid goes up. Lid goes down. Lid goes up. Oh fuck, I could do this all day. Here's a handy little modification to the original design. Use a hose clamp as a stop for the clips for the pulleys. Keeps them in place and they don't have to be quite as tight. Gives you some other options for attaching the pulley to the pole too. So yeah, works good. I do believe we're all ready to go here. I'm just going to load the feeder up with crack for squirrels and we'll get the show on the road. I've got multiple squirrels that come to the feeder, but I don't have names for them and I can't even tell them apart. So we're just going to let them have at it and see what they come up with. I mean, really, in the end, does it matter if they've got a name as long as they stay the hell out of the feeder? This was the very first assault on the feeder, and I think I was pretty surprised by the descending lid. It reaches out and grabs the copper pipe with its back leg as it's going down. Welcome to the express elevator to hell, buddy. It spends exactly 0 time trying to figure out what happened and just beats a path right off the feeder. Perfect. Some of them were more cautious. This guy spent maybe 15 minutes going up and down the pole, dancing around the idea of whether or not to get on the lid. Once they got more comfortable with the whole elevator action, they started to spend a little time sniffing around, asking themselves, where the fuck are the peanuts? This one made a particularly graceful exit off the feeder.
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck. You idiot. Well done. Seemed like this guy was probably familiar with the lid problem and was looking for another way around it. Little Cirque du Soleil action there. Obviously, I can't have any idea what goes on inside one of those squirrely, walnut-sized brains, but it does appear like they have some interest in the mechanism that is foiling their attempts. I doubt they'll ever figure it out because they don't understand pulleys. I mean, nobody understands pulleys. I put it together, I have no idea how it works. So whatever they lack in an understanding of Newtonian physics, they seem to make up for by having freakishly grippy claws. Check out the tail. If that doesn't scream I'm pissed off, I don't know what does. Another graceful approach. Now something tells me that this guy didn't anticipate the lid coming back up after he got off. Aw, they're so cute! Even if they would shiv you in the back for half an unshelled walnut. Alright, so we're at day 4, maybe 5 here, and so far nobody has managed to get into the party platter party that didn't have wings. Now it's probably too early to call this a complete success, but it's looking pretty damn good at this point. It is possible that they will come up with something eventually, so I think what I'll do is I'll post a follow-up video maybe in a month or so, and I'll give you an update on how it's working. Hey, cheer up, buddy. Your balls are going to be on the internet. Looks like it's letting up. Make a break for it. Yeah, okay, or not.